And me just having an argument with Child, like, why are these people in our house? Don't you know little Sarah is sleeping? She's literally the mom that goes to get milk and just never comes back. And she'd be like, we're getting a divorce. I'm taking the kids. Goodbye. Hello, you majestic stallions and stallionettes. Today we're going to be ranking the Genshin characters by how they'd be as a husband or wife. Ooh. So right off the bat, I do want to mention that this video takes into account that you're already married to this specific character. It's not a matter of if you'd marry them or not. No, it's you're married to them and you're just figuring out if they'd be, you know, your ideal partner or not. That's the thing. Because with this, it kind of gives every character a moment in the spotlight, I find. Like, every character gets a turn instead of just being like, yeah, that's a waifu, that's not a waifu, you know what I mean? So right off the bat, we have the tier here for the characters that are, you know, not old enough, under 18, tis, no. We also have Nahida and the Traveler here, because Nahida looks like she's 5, while the Traveler looks like maybe they're 12, so no thank you. The tiers are as follows: the true love, the perfect spouse, the in love, except for the occasional squabble, the falls out of love over time, still married though, and then we have still together for the kids, and then finally the divorce. Without further ado, let's get into it. Albedo definitely strikes me as the type who'd be married to his work, but if he was your husband, I think he'd be pretty good. He's sophisticated and calm, which are definitely good traits for a partner to have. In terms of him being able to spend time with the family, I think that would be the biggest obstacle to overcome, because he's so invested in his work that I think you'd have to have, you know, the talk with him being like, Albedo, you're not spending any time with little Clee. And then he'd just be like, oh, sorry, I'll put that into account. Like, he's very, how you say, he can adapt to situations, so I feel like eventually he'd be able to balance his work and his family. So I think we'd argue a little bit at first, but over time, I think he'd be a really good husband. Yeah. Amber has been at the top for the past 3 tier lists, and yeah, this is no exception. She's literally the perfect wife to me. She's not even one of my favorite characters, but she's, in terms of wife material, yeah. She's outgoing, easy nature to an extent. She's amazing with children, so she'd be a great mom. And she's enthusiastic enough where I'm never gonna be worried about falling out of love, because she's so charming just by nature. And with all that in mind, yeah, she's kind of the perfect spouse. Next up, we have Ayaka over here. I think the only issue I have with Ayaka is that she would be a little clingy. I think she'd be a cool stay-at-home mom, and she'd kind of grow into that, you know. Part of being a parent is learning how to be a parent. And I think once she's got the basics down, she'd be really good. And as a wife, yeah, she's charming enough that I wouldn't dislike her by any means. I think we just have to have the occasional talk about personal space. That's my only issue with Ayaka. But yeah, she'd be a good wife. Yeah. Beto's 100% the type to divorce you. I think Beto would be married to you for a bit, and then after a certain amount of time passes, she realizes her true love is the sea. And she'd just be like one morning, honey, we need to talk. And you'd be like, what is it, dear? And she'd be like, we're getting a divorce. I'm taking the kids. Goodbye. No, it might not be that bad because she is loyal, and I think she'd be nice when she breaks the news. And you know what? She might even offer to bring you with her, but I'm not really about the open seas life, and I don't want to restrict her freedom. So this would be a reluctant divorce. D-Luke, I think, would be an amazing father just because of his very high moral compass. So with that in mind, as a dad, amazing. As a husband, he's definitely the type, in terms of love, I think, to be carried much more by his looks. Because in terms of personality and charm, he doesn't have much to me. Like, yeah, he's charming in the sense that he wants to uphold justice and everything, but if we're talking about a full-out marriage, I think I would stay, like, married to him and everything, but I wouldn't necessarily be in love with him as the years go by. You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't have as much pep in his step, you know? Ganyu, I think, would be a really good wife. It's just that she works too much. And I think if she gets to the point where she knows how to balance life and work, like a work and life balance, I think she'd be top tier. But until we get to that point, she's gonna be in the occasional squabble. She'd be a good mom in the sense that she's caring and everything. And as a wife, yeah, she has, you know, she's not perfect because she has little slip-ups from time to time, and that's what gives her those personality points to me. Over time, maybe the perfect spouse, but for now, the occasional squabbling. Hootsa! This is gonna be the hottest take, but Hu Tao would probably be a pretty good wife. The thing is, she's enthusiastic and outgoing. She would be amazing with kids for that. Although from time to time, I'd be worried about the kids because, you know, she might spook them with one of her ghost stories. But I think once you get like used to who Hu Tao is as a person, I think she would be very charming and endearing, but you might just have to talk with her from time to time about, you know, don't take it too far. But with that in mind, I think she'd still be a good wife, yeah. Jean, I find it funny that I put Hu Tao in the in love, but then Jean I have to put in the falls out of love even though you're still married. Because the thing with Jean is she's so perfect, and she is a bit of a workaholic too, similar to Ganyu and Albedo. But with her, the thing is Albedo and Ganyu both have their little quirks, like their little traits and their little flaws. Jean doesn't have that to me. She's kind of perfect, and that's my biggest issue. She'd be an amazing mom, she'd be a good wife for the most part, I think. But over time, as the years go by, I don't think I'd be 100% emotionally invested. That's my only issue. But she would be a good wife. Kaya strikes me as the type that would 100% cheat on you. Even if he doesn't cheat on you because you're already at the point where you're married, I don't think I would ever fully trust him. And him as a dad to me, unless he's trying to raise a master criminal, I don't think he'd be necessarily the best father. But he's not bad by any means. I have those trust issues when it comes to his, you know, flirtatious and history. So we'll put him in the divorce category. Lisa is another hot take. She is the perfect wife. When I thought of this tier list, instantly I was like, Lisa would be the perfect wife. And she's not even one of my favorite characters. She's so caring and motherly already, so she knows damn well she's gonna be an amazing mom. But as a wife too, she has that charm aspect with her little teasing from time to time. Yeah, she has all the factors she needs to be the best wife and the best, you know, mom. And I mean, just ask Jean. She already has that like wife experience. Like, come on. Mona, opposite from Lisa, I don't think she'd be the best mom. If we're talking as a wife though, yeah, she's very charming and witty. I can just imagine us oddly enough opening the crack addict fortune teller shop and us just arguing about financial expenses. Like we'd have a shared bank account and I'd go up to her and be like, why is there a $10,000 withdrawal? And she'd be like, oh, I needed it for my new crystal ball. And you just be like, okay, this is the woman you married. It's okay. But yeah, we'd squabble, but I'd still love her because she's, you know, she's charming. Ningguang would divorce me in literally a heartbeat. Because the thing with her is she wouldn't get married, but under the assumption she'd get married, I feel like it would be because of a bad choice she made if she was a little drunk or something. And then you're full out married to her. And then after a couple weeks pass, she's like, yeah, I don't have time for the family. We're getting a divorce. And I don't think it's necessarily that she's a bad person because of that. It's just that she has so many obligations to Liyue already. Like she wouldn't have the time to spend with the family. That's the biggest issue with that. I wish we could spend time together because I do like her a lot, but she has her obligations. So for that, she got to go in the divorce. Noelle, hey, Noelle's supposed to be here. Hey, what's Noelle doing outside of the... Oh, wait, why is Yoimiya there? Oi, oi, oi. Oh, wait, okay, Yoimiya. Okay, Yoimiya is my personal favorite character in the game. Would she be the best wife? Yeah, she would. Because you know damn well, like, every child in a 2-mile radius would gravitate towards Yoimiya, and she'd be mom of the year, without a doubt. And then in terms of wife, she's charming, she's compassionate. Yoimiya's ability to read in between the lines is such a underlooked part of her character. Because it's so important to know what your partner's feeling without sometimes having to be super vocal about it. Bro, she's perfect. I'm sorry. Best girl, best everything. I need a poster of Yoimiya, I swear. Sucrose is definitely very timid. I mean, Ayaka and Ganyu are timid in their own right, but Sucrose takes it a little to the extreme. Also, she's kind of a mad scientist, and I feel like she might experiment on your sleeping body. I don't think she'd ever put you in danger because you're her husband, but I'd still get a little bit of the non, s'il vous plaît, donne-moi de l'espace, madame. With all that in mind, I can't really imagine her being a good mom either. her. I mean, she might be kind of a wholesome mom, actually. But I'm gonna put her in divorce. Yeah, I don't think she'd be that good. I'm sorry, it might be a hot take, but a relationship with Sucrose is more of a friend thing to me, you know what I mean? Child is already the best big brother. Would he be a good father? Absolutely, yeah. Because he has that experience of just, he basically raised Chooser by himself, to be honest with you. So he already is technically a dad. And as a husband, I think he'd be amazing as well because of how dapper and swell he is. He has a bit of, you know, sass from time to time. The only thing we'd argue about is his connection to the mafioso. Yeah, and for some reason I can imagine like the mafioso coming to our house and me just having an argument with Child like, why are these people in our house? Don't you know little Sarah is sleeping? Yeah, it'd be funny though. I can imagine a relationship with Child being kind of cool actually. Yeah. Venti is my bestie. If we're talking about relationship though, he definitely strikes me as the type to be in a long distance relationship because of his obsession with freedom. I think he would, like, to an extent, mind you, be a good husband and, you know, a father, but the relationship I think would be heavily connected to the child because of how outgoing he is with the kid. Because I feel like the kid would be really attached to Venti, and then since it's such a long distance relationship, you'd get to a point where you want to divorce him, but you'd be seen as the bad guy in the kid's eye. So you couldn't divorce him for that reason. So in that sense, I'll put him in still together for the kids. Yeah. Xiao is way too edgy, but the thing is, this new Lantern Rite, bro, Xiao is the one character I ship with Lumine by far the most, and it's not even close at this point. And he's very oddly wholesome in his own weird way. The thing is, I think we could definitely argue about his slightly aggressive nature from time to time, because I think if someone were to insult like you as his wife, he would get really defensive. He'd be like, what did you just say about my honey bunny? And you'd be like, Xiao, please. But at the same time, you'd feel really happy because he cares about you. And with that in mind, besides for the occasional squabble, yeah, I think I could be in love with Xiao, yeah. Rosaria strikes me as the abusive wife without a doubt. Well, no, it depends on who you are. If you're a serious, straight-laced, well-mannered, just sophisticated individual who's a high-class member of society, I think she could vibe with you. Like, I don't think she would like smack you and would be okay with you. But if you're kind of a slouch, easygoing, not the most, you know, serious person out there, I think she would smack you across the head from time to time. I don't know. The thing is, Rosaria's my type, but I can definitely see myself falling out of love with her just for the whole, you know, smack across the head from time to time. And her as a mom is also a really tricky thing to see. I'm not gonna divorce her though. I don't know. I can't bring myself to do it. But we're gonna put her in the falls out of love. Eula is very interesting because if you're at the point where you're married, the tsundere aspect, we're taking that off the table. It doesn't matter anymore. But I don't think she'd be the most honest with her emotion. Oh wait, that is tsundere, isn't it? Okay. The thing is, I think once you get into a fight with her, you'd wake up the next day and there'd be a note next to you with an apology, you know, a 10-page apology. And then, like, she wouldn't apologize to you directly because of how she is as a person, but she would clearly care about you and everything. And I can just imagine it being a wholesome relationship. Yeah, Eula would be the occasional squabble, but in love. Yanfei, I think I might fall out of love with because she's a little too in love with her work. The thing with Albedo and a lot of these workaholics is they're mostly doing their job for the sake of working, like just, you know, paying the bills. But Yanfei is the type who just adores her job to no end. And I feel like it would be a hard thing for her to balance the family and her work to that extent. I think she'd still be a good mom and a good husband, but you would see her not a lot. Like you'd see her maybe like 3 or 4 times a week because she's always out working. And yeah, that's kind of a tricky relationship to get behind. I am all about the personal space, but I think it'd be a little too much with her. So we'll put her in the falls out of love over time. Zhongli, it's all about one question. Do you find Zhongli boring? Personally, I don't, okay? And let me tell you why. So I have a lot of vivid fantasy of taking nice nighttime strolls with Zhongli and us just talking about the random, most obscure topic imaginable. And the thing is, I can't imagine arguing with him because of how adaptable he is to every situation. Like, if he were to do something to annoy you, I think he would pick up on the fact that you're annoyed and just not do it again. Because he's very open-minded in that sense. Like, out of all the characters here, he's probably the most open-minded. Honestly enough, I'm gonna put him in True Love because because he's kind of perfect to me. He's not boring. I think if you found him boring, you would put him in the Falls Out of Love, but me personally, I don't find him boring. But that aspect of him is subjective, for sure. Kazuha is I think he'd be a very good dad. I think he'd be a good husband. But the one thing I think he lacks a bit of is charm. Because he has a very good backstory, he's a super well-layered character, and I do really love the occasional one-liner he spits, but staying in love with him, like, I can't imagine us laughing a lot. And I think we need to have that laughter in a relationship for it to be a good relationship with a lot of the characters here. And yeah, I think it'd be nice, but it wouldn't be like, you know, super duper happy fun times, which with old age, I think you'd fall out of love with him. Raiden already has the Mother of the Year award, so you know she's a great mom. In terms of a wife, I'm sorry guys, I gotta put her at the bottom. I know she might put in the effort to be a good housewife or just any kind of wife, you know, from time to time, but the fact that she isn't really the most, you know, she can't do a lot of things. It definitely limits her, and yeah, it's kind of cute in its own weird way, the fact that she's so clumsy and stuff, but it's not endearing enough for me to, you know, stay married with her. And this would be a relationship that you would have to do so much of the heavy lifting, and I'm not really that much of a fan of that. Like, if it's a 75 to 25%, I'm actually fine with, but I think this would be closer to 90 to 10. So I have to put her at the bottom for that, yeah. Sarah is interesting, and I never thought I would say this, but I think Sarah would be a good wife. She's very strict and uptight, which I think is a very good trait for a mother to have. I think she'd be very good at raising the kids in a really good way. In terms of a wife, I have a very opposite personality to her, but I kind of like the whole idea of opposites attract. This is why I'm like kind of into this idea, because I think we might argue from time to time for sure. It would mostly be her smacking me across the head for being, you know, careless or too easygoing. But at the same time, like, you know, the moment when we saw her, you know, like loving Raiden's little puppet thing, if we see that cute side of her, even if it's just once in a blue moon, it adds endearing points to me. Like, it makes her more wholesome. I'm gonna put her in here actually. We might squabble. She's debatably not the most interesting, but I don't know. Oddly enough, I can get behind a relationship with Sarah. It's weird. It's really weird. Kokomi, despite being soft-spoken, I think would be a really strict mother as well as a strict wife. And the thing is, I don't think I take it so seriously all the time because of how soft her voice is. She's very kind by nature. I think a relationship with her would be kind of sunshine and rainbows for a lot of the time. Although we would argue about, you know, the gravity of certain situations. Like, she seems to be the type that takes a lot of things very seriously. Like, if the kid isn't eating his veggies, she'd be like, "Eat your damn veggies, Jimmy." just in a much softer voice. I would be the one who's like, "Yeah, it's okay, do what you want." And then she would just, you know, we'd argue about stuff like that. But yeah, she'd be a good wife overall. Toma, yeah, he's the peak husband. I don't think there is any debate on Toma being literally the best husband out of any character here. He has everything going for him. He's not boring, he's charming, he's fun by nature, he's outgoing, easy-natured. Like, I can just keep going with stuff. And as a father, yeah, he'd be a great dad too. He has a good moral compass. Toma's perfect. I don't think I need to further explain him, but yeah. Ito, oh my god, Ito. The thing is, obviously I love the man, but the thing is, in a marriage, there needs to be, you know, responsibility. And I don't think he'd be the best at that. You know what? I'm gonna put him in Still Together for the kids, because the kids would adore him. He's like the male version of Yoimiya. And I feel like if I were to divorce him, the kid would just cry and I would be known as the most villainous partner ever. Yeah, the kids would basically, you know, hate me, and I don't want that. I'd stay with Ito for the kids. Goro's a simple one. I don't think I would stay in love with him because his personality isn't so, you know, strong. Like, he'd be a good husband for sure. He'd be a good, you know, father to the kids. I think he would have to grow into it though, because he's a little timid and flustered at points. But I think once that confidence gets built, he'd be a good husband for sure. The only thing is the personality. I'm having a hard time imagining us, you know, connecting deeper than a surface level. So we're gonna put him in the Falls Out of Love over time. Shinha is 100% my type. It's just that she definitely has flaws. Like, she's currently in her her getting accustomed to human society phase, so marriage is kind of a stretch. With that in mind though, I'm still gonna put her in love with the occasional squabble because I'm just genuinely attracted to her. And when you're just attracted to who the person is at their core, I feel like there's not much to explain in that regard, right? We would argue from time to time though, just about, you know, how to get by and how to interact with certain people, but that's kind of as far as it would go. I'm not gonna put her in the falls out of love or divorce because I just can't see any of those, you know what I mean? Yunjin, yeah, Yunjin has enough charm to be a perfect wife actually, because she's very sophisticated, she is very into her theater thing, but I think she would still make time for her family. I could see her being a good wife as well, because she's very well-mannered, and I think having good manners is very appropriate for raising a child especially. And I can just imagine us, you know, you, her husband, going to one of her performances and cheering her on, and she getting that little extra bit of courage. Oh, yes. Oh, I like that. Yeah, Yunjin would be a good wife, for sure. Yae and Miko, oh god, I'm sorry, guys. Like, oh, actually, no, wait. We would still be together for the kids. Why do I say this? Because she would manipulate the kids into loving the absolute heck out of her. And with that in mind, similar to what I said with Ito, if I were to divorce Miko, the kids would be like, you're an evil person, you're divorcing mom. And I'd just be like, your mom's the evil one. And they'd be like, no, mom's a saint. Yeah, she'd manipulate the kids into keeping us together. That's my whole thing with Miko. Ayato is a swell gentleman and a perfect husband. Yeah, he's already a really good older brother, so that leads me to believe he'd be an amazing father as well. He does know how to separate work and at-home life, which is so important. I cannot stress that enough. And yeah, I think he'd be very kind and dapper, and I think his bedroom game would be on point. Yeah, he'd be a really good husband. Yelan is 100% my type in terms of, you know, looks. And I imagine her bedroom game is probably, like I said with Ayato just a second ago, probably pretty amazing. But the thing is, she would definitely walk out on you. She's literally the mom that goes to get milk and just never comes back. That's Yelan. Actually, with that in mind, she wouldn't technically divorce you. I think she'd just walk out because the paperwork would be too much of a hassle for her. Yeah, actually, as a friend, Yelan would be so good to me, I think, because we have similar easygoing and not giving a really F about anything natures. But in a relationship, yeah, no. She takes it a little too far. I'll still leave her in the divorce, even if she just walks out though. Yeah. Heizo is similar to Kaya in the flirtatious aspect, but Heizo I can tolerate a lot more because he's just always really swell and dapper and kind of just a gentleman. He's very kind by nature. I can imagine him being a good father as well. He'd have a good job to support the family. I think every now and then at a party, he might get a little too close with someone, so you might have to smack him a little bit, but I think he would know how to take a hint and get in line pretty well. Yeah, Heizo would be a good husband. Speaking of good husbands, Tainari would be the best husband. Too bad I wouldn't love him. See, bro, he's too strict. And the thing is, it's really good for raising a child. It's really good for any relationship to an extent. But I can't imagine his sass and his witty nature keeping me necessarily in love with him. So with that in mind, he's gonna be in the falls out of love. I'm sorry, my boy. Next up, we have Nilu. Nilu, I can easily picture being the perfect wife. Yeah, she has the nature. She's already amazing with kids. We've literally seen it. She's very kind, and I think we're both similar in the sense that we wouldn't really get angry that much. And I think even if we like have our disagreements from time to time, we'd never snap at each other. We'd always just be like, hey, so I didn't really like it when you said this. And I think we'd just be understanding and just, you know, not do the same mistake again. And yeah, Nilu's just really charming. She's not boring by any means to me. She's kind. Nilu's a really good wife. At the end of the tier list, by the way, I'm gonna organize everything. So this isn't the order, but towards the end, we'll put them in order. Sino, okay, recently I'm starting to like this man a lot more, and it all started with a comment about, you know, me being too harsh on him in the likability video. But I can imagine Sino being a little similar to Xiao in the fact that he'd be really protective of you, but every now and then you have to be like, Sino, please, it's a little much. And he'd be like, sorry, my queen. Yeah, and I'm having this really vivid picture of me and Sino as a married couple just on the couch playing video games and it being the absolute best thing. Like the kids asleep, it's like 11 at night. We're just playing some games before bed. Oh my god, wait, that's literally perfect. All right, yeah, he's going in the occasional squabble, but in love, yes. Candace, I think, is true love. Yeah, because she'd be an amazing mom. She's really caring, sweet. She doesn't bore me in any way. The only issue I might have, and it wouldn't even like result in a squabble, it would just be that we can't really take vacations because we'd be stuck in the little village. With that in mind though, I can enjoy that because I think I'd be in love with Candace. Yeah, she's really good. She'd be an amazing wife. Lila, hey, did you guys know Lila's 25? When I was putting characters in the not old enough like category, originally I put Lila there, but no, she's 25 apparently. Okay. With that in mind, I'm gonna put her in the falls out of love over time. I think you would probably have to carry the relationship to an extent. Like it'd probably be about 80-20. But the fact that she's so sleep deprived all the time, it would make me want to take care of her. But at the same time, there's not enough really, like there's not enough substance there, if you know what I mean. Yeah, I think we'd fall out of love, but I wouldn't divorce her because, you know, you want to take care of her, you know what I mean? But as a wife, yeah, it'd be more of a one-sided relationship. So Scaramouche is literally my second favorite character in this game, right outside of Yoimiya. So yes, I have a bias, but I don't care. I have to justify this stuff. Okay. Scaramouche would be a really good dad because he knows what it's like to have a really bad parent. And that is gonna get me a lot of hate when I say that, but I don't care. I think he wouldn't repeat the same mistakes as his mother made with him. That's my biggest justification for him being a good father. In terms of being a good husband, I think he would occasionally insult you, but once you get used to it and it doesn't bother you, I think it'd be fine. But every now and then he might insult you a little too hard, and you would tell him, like you'd be like, hey, honey, that was a little too offensive. And in the moment, I think he'd be like, yeah, whatever, I don't care. But I feel like even though he would say that, I think he'd never say it again. Even though he's a little bit of a tsundere, I think he still would care about you. Yeah. Like he would play it off as like, yeah, whatever, I don't care about your feelings. But in actuality, he wouldn't say the same thing again. Yeah, Scaramouche would be a good husband. Faruzan is very sassy, which I adore. She'd be a good mother as well, because I think she'd be a very, you know, the kid will learn at an early age to be a really smart guy. With that in mind, as a wife, I think she would be fine. I don't think she'd be anything to write home about, but I can imagine a relationship with her being kind of wholesome. She'd be sassy and angry with you at times, but I think she has a wholesome side to her too. So I'll put her in the in love, just the occasional squabbling though. Alhaitham is really interesting because he has a very good moral compass, which I adore. That's that's the best part about his character. But the thing is, even with that moral compass, he doesn't actually care about a lot of things. And with that in mind, I'm gonna put him in falls out of love over time. Because yeah, I think he's very dapper and you'd be attracted to him. He might be a good dad and husband, but I think he'd be a good dad and husband just for the sake of being a good dad and husband, if you know what I mean. Like, he doesn't seem like the type to get married, but if he would, yeah, he'd be in the fall out of love over time. Dea, I think, would be an amazing wife. I think we just argue from time to time just because we have, you know, different natures. She's more hard and serious. I'm more soft and squishy. With that in mind, yeah, because she would definitely be a good mom. She'd be strict enough, but also really chill. And as a wife too, yeah, she'd be good. We just maybe argue from time to time. All right, let me organize. I'm gonna organize these in 3, 2, 1. Okay, guys, so the final tier list is gonna look something like this. Yeah, so this would be the order I'd put everybody in. Let me know who your top 3 husbands and wives are. I do love comparing with you guys. Sorry if I am a little sleep deprived and if this video was a little less entertaining than usual. I don't have as much time currently to record videos, unfortunately. But yeah, with that in mind, I still hope you guys got a little, you know, enjoyment out of this. That's the whole point. And with that in mind, take care, guys, and have a good one.